I love these fabulous children's astrology books by Donna McGarry. They're delightful, whimsical, and entertaining. Visit zodiacs.com. Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of September 14th, 2014. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. This week starts off with Venus in a supremely harmonious conversation with Pluto. I absolutely love this energy. I absolutely love this vibe. I do think that given last week's Venus standing across the sky from Neptune and any kind of confusion or uncertainty or hopefulness or disappointments that some people might have felt when it came to love or money or questions and lessons around self-worth, now will find their power. Not only a sense of resolution, yes, but also a sense of wisdom as well, and an understanding of what needs to change. What I tend to find with this particular vibration is you make a choice, is what it comes down to. And again, it could be a choice for most of us. It's going to be a choice related to love. However, there are going to be those that experience this more in the context of whether it's self-worth, allowing yourself to receive whatever you think are good things, knowing you deserve to receive love, which is one of the higher lessons of Venus. And also there's an element here of finances as well, an element here of money as well, sometimes associated with Venus. Given that both planets are in earth signs, the financial element to this does become a little bit more emphasized. But, you know, when I think about the earth, I think about the earth goddess, right? Which really is associated with pleasure, which is associated with, yes, there is that sort of basic needs element to it, but beyond that, there is an element of enjoying the incarnation. When Venus and Pluto speak this way, what I have found is people make a choice. They get really clear on what it is that they want, and they say, okay, this is what has to change. This is what action I need to take in order to really affect and really experience the type of change I most desire, and they do it. There's an element here of really bringing forward the best of you, bringing forward the best that you have to offer. And with this comes a sense of empowerment as well. There's also something here that's to be said for change. This isn't just about forgiveness, if you will, and this lends itself to maybe some disappointments or uncertainties that were taking place last week. However, there's an element here that has to do with identifying the root of the issue and saying, you know what, this is what needs to happen so that we can transform this. And that's ultimately what Pluto really likes to do, is transform a given energy or a given situation as well. What I also really like about this energy is it does suggest that it goes actually beyond forgiveness, which is more associated with something like Jupiter or something like Neptune. It goes beyond forgiveness, and it says, you know what, I'm going to bring my A game, I'm going to make a decision, and if I really want to move forward, it isn't just about saying, okay, I forgive the past and that's it. No, there's an understanding that in order to really move beyond the past, and what forgiveness really asks for is a change of action. And I have found with this energy as well, you know, I think about the idea of how so much of our experience in life and so much of what we experience emotionally, especially in life, is really connected to the thoughts that we entertain on a regular basis. So the thoughts we hold speak to our emotional states, and that in turn determines so much of what we perceive, so much of what we believe, and how it is we interact with the world, and yes, what it is ultimately that we attract, because ultimately the environment, our external environment, whether it's the sky, whether it is our lives, is attempting to show us something about ourselves, show us what our lessons are, and show us how it is, as part of the greater wisdom, as part of the mystery, where it is, how it is that we can actually move ourselves towards greater love and greater wisdom. And what I found with this particular type of energy is it's one thing to say, okay, I forgive and that's it. But it's another thing to say, you know what, I think this a lot and it makes me angry and it makes it hard to forgive. So what I'm going to do is, when I think this thing a lot, or when I feel this thing a lot, which is really what Venus is about, when I feel this thing a lot, and especially Venus in an earth sign, I am going to decide to focus on something else. I'm going to give myself a mantra. I'm going to give myself another area of focus, because you know that you've already done everything that can be done, and now you really are ready to experience a different reality. That is what this particular conversation promises. And I tell you, when I look at early next week, so much is happening early next week. And being that this is what starts off this week and we slowly build towards next week, which I will be here to talk about then, Venus building towards a harmonious conversation with Saturn. This tells me that very soon there will be payoffs. The actions that we implement early this week, where it comes to love, where it comes to money, where it comes to self-worth, in turn will lead to some tangible progress and will lead to an affirmation that we are on the right path once we get into the early part of next week. So again, I'll be here to talk about it then. But I do think that a lot of this week is going to be a build up towards, again, what's happening at the beginning of next week, which is Pluto standing still in the sky, preparing to go direct, which happens about once a year. So we've got Pluto towards the later part of this week, slowing down to what is called stationary. And just like that sounds, Pluto will appear to slow down to a virtual standstill before traveling direct early next week. And what this suggests is that standstill time period, again, it's the later days of the week, are the most potent moments of the year, or one of the most potent moments of the year that Pluto is going to promise us. So you really want to be paying attention, because it really is an understanding of what needs to change, what needs to transform. We have the faith, we have the love, we have the will to actually do that. We have a sense of self-worth to actually start putting things into action early in the week. But then towards the later part of the week, it is when we really get to the core of an issue, when we really come to a deep understanding as to the dynamics that are playing out within us, what has led us to our choices, and what it is ultimately that we are ready to grow beyond and evolve beyond. That is going to start being revealed to us in the later part of the week as part of our own individual journeys towards greater love and greater wisdom. The other thing that is taking place this week, right as we start this week, is that Mercury will enter shadow. Now, you really want to watch what's taking place in the early part of the week, because once Mercury enters shadow, as I've explained before as well, this is basically Mercury beginning on a path that will be retraced during the retrograde, and then retraced once again once Mercury goes direct again a little bit later on. And so you want to pay attention to what is happening right as the week starts, because the lessons, the issues, the considerations, the ideas that come up at that time will be revisited and will get some very strong clarity once we get to right around October 24th. So of course, I will be here to talk about it then. However, these are the dates that you want to be taking notes. If you are one who keeps a gratitude journal, it's a really good practice, I think, because I've seen it just change so many lives. At the end of the day, to just write down 3 things that happened that day that you're grateful for. I've seen how it's changed lives tremendously, whether it's emotionally changed them, practically. I've seen lots of changes in so many people as well. So if you're not already doing that, that could be a good practice or two for you to consider. However, as part of that, you may want to just jot down at the end of your gratitude list at the end of the day, 1 or 2 sentences about what happened, if you don't already do that, if you're not the type of person who already journals, in order to come back to that and look at what clarity really starts to hit home for you, especially once we get to the later part of October. But keep in mind that the lessons that start to come up now this week are going to be revisited in the month of October once Mercury goes retrograde and starts retracing these very steps that he is starting now, starting this week and right towards the end of the month as well. I'm very excited about this week because I do think that this is an opportunity for us to really start integrating some valuable lessons as Mercury is going to be moving forward and retrograde in the same part of the sky that he was in, or sorry, the same part of the sky that Mars was in for much of the year, really since late last year right into July. Mars was in the same sign, in the sign of Libra, and now Mercury is going to retrace those steps. So whatever understandings or considerations that were trying to come up on a level of emotion, on a level of energy, now will start to reach intellect. But again, remember, it's part of a larger process that is playing out. And towards the end of the week, I do want to remind you, as Pluto stands still slowly but surely, please be sure to be kind and patient with yourself and with all of those people around you, because emotions can get really intense, can get really magnified as Pluto prepares to stand still. But it is an emotional truth that needs to come forward so that you can understand what it is and where it is that you are ready. And each of us in our own individual lives, in at least one area of life, is ready to evolve and is ready to move forward from. Well, thank you so much for watching. I so enjoy our interactions. Thank you so much for them on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com. Really love hearing your feedback, your suggestions, and also your technical questions. So thank you for that. Looking forward to creating more special series videos for you. If you would like me to have a look at your personalized chart, your birth chart, if you have questions that are specific to your life, I'm very happy to do that. Please do consider a personalized horoscope. But as always, and I always like to say, and I do truly believe that just you being here in this moment is, for me, the hope is that it provides you with just the omen you need, just the understanding you need to move your life in some way towards greater love and greater wisdom. And I'm truly so grateful to be some small part of your spiritual journey. Thank you. So how all the stuff that's happening this week speaks to you and your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. This week does promise an important decision and some important progress where it comes to work or health or both. Where it comes to work, it does look like you're making at least one decision that is meant to lead you in a direction of greater success on the one hand, greater power on the other hand, and it's likely because of some connection or some facilitation of somebody who is higher up on the ladder, if you will. So there could be some interaction with someone who's in a supervisory role, and it seems to be really favorable, working very well on your behalf. Now, do keep in mind, though, that this is just part of a longer progress. It isn't necessarily that big, huge breakthroughs are happening just yet. They're coming up very soon. We've got a very active sky happening next week, or beginning next week especially. However, there still is a lot to be gained by making those connections and just doing a really good job and understanding the value of what you're working. Now, if you are somebody who is self-employed, then this could be a time when you attract a really big client as well. For those of you who are going to experience this more in the context of health, maybe work is not necessarily a primary focus right now for you for whatever reason, or work feels like it's already really strong and going in the right way. You may experience this in the context of health where it looks like you're making some choices, some very important decisions that are meant to move you towards greater strength, and they certainly will. And this can also be a time when you connect with just the right expert, the right person with the right advice and the right action plan to actually take you in a direction of experiencing greater health now, but actually putting those little routines in place that will ensure you experience greater health for a very long time to come. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week there is an important understanding that takes place for you, that some of the most powerful changes that are going to happen in your life really are going to come down to a decision that you make. I recently posted on my Facebook page, one choice can transform, one decision can transform your entire life. And that really is true, and especially true for you this week. And that looks very much like what's happening for you now. If there has been a decision, if there's been a situation that seems like it hasn't been changing, hasn't been going the way that you like, been long-standing, been in the ether, been frustrating in any way, this is a time when the penny drops for you. This is a time when you understand what your power actually is in the situation. and how you can move your life forward. And it is a very personal process. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be out and about, that you have to make some grand statement. Rather, it is about you and the energy and the emotions that you are choosing to hold. A lot of you out there are going to experience this in the context of love, in the context of romance as well. So if you're in an established bond, this can really be a time when you experience an important closeness or even deeper closeness taking place. For others of you, this is going to be a time when you say, okay, let's make some changes, and we'll find the easy strength to do so. So whether you decide to transform the situation from the inside out, or whether you decide that you want to move forward, it looks like you are feeling a sense of empowerment and a sense of peace by the way in which you are choosing to go forward from here. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week there are some really powerful forces working very much on your side, and they're working on your side especially where it comes to finances. So it does look like there are some financial dealings taking place. Some of them you're not really going to know about because, as I said, it is like some really good angels or people are saying good things about you, and it's all happening sort of on a hidden level, in a hidden sphere. And so you are going to have to trust that the right things are going to fall into place, because they actually are falling into place right about now. There are some really powerful movements taking place for you next week, financially and otherwise, in many different areas of life. However, where it comes to the financial picture now, and whether this has to do with money that has to do with grants, loans, bursaries, commissions, settlements as well. All of this, if there's been a decision that's been a little bit hanging in the ether, you've been wondering which way it's going to go, hoping that you actually qualify. This is a time when the right things are happening in support of you being more prosperous on the other side of it. Some of you may hear some news around this, but I do think that for most of you, chances are next week is going to be the time when you're going to realize all the good things that were taking place for you this week, because that is when the bigger payoffs are set to take place. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week, it really is about having the conversation that changes everything. And for some of you, this is going to be a conversation in the context of an established relationship. And so you very likely will be communicating with somebody who is a partner to you, whether it's romantic or business, and coming up with a game plan to move forward. So there's an element here that has to do with agreements as well. An element here that has to do with speaking what is true for you and allowing that to be the transformative influence. Now, I have seen this again and again in countless lives. When people speak to their experience in an honest way, there's something that happens that brings about resolution, regardless of how the other person responds. And so whether you are speaking in a way where the other person is just being an active listener, whether they're accepting, whether it's safe, whether it's loving, and sometimes even if it's not, even if the other person is not necessarily happy about what you're saying. Now, I don't see that being the case here, okay? I don't see that at all. But what I am saying is simply the willingness to share what it is that is happening within you, within your own heart, simply the willingness to say that this is my reality and this is my emotional reality. This is how I felt in a previous situation, in a previous exchange that we had. That act itself, speaking up for yourself, has a way of transforming lives, your life and also the lives of those around you. So as I said, I don't see any kind of response that would be in any way negative. Rather, I see it being an incredibly empowering exchange. For most of you, this is going to be very random. It's just going to be like in the moment, all of a sudden the inspiration is there and you end up having this very important talk with someone who matters to you, having a talk one-on-one. For others of you, there may be an element here of actually putting aside the time. However, regardless of how it is that that moment comes about, it looks to be one that ends up being incredibly meaningful to you and creates change also that you see as incredibly positive. Hello, fabulous Leo. This week we've got some financial moves happening, some, whether you want to call it decisions, But rather I see this more as intuitions. I see this more as an understanding of what needs to happen if you're going to create greater prosperity for yourself. There's sort of an easy flow happening right now that says to you, okay, this is what I need to experience greater prosperity. This is what I need to create a better picture for myself in the long run. And not only about prosperity, but there's also a connection here to work, the actual work that you are doing, and being proud of the work that you're doing, feeling confident in the work that you're doing. All of this seems to come together really nicely this week, where you understand the value of what you're doing and how that value can be translated into tangible financial terms. So some of you may end up having a conversation that seems to come about in a really supportive sphere, supportive atmosphere in the context of where you work. You end up having a conversation that leads to an understanding of what you can do next to help yourself financially speaking as well. Some of you out there are likely to attract a really great project right about now, or client right about now. Now, this is sort of a dominant theme happening for all the fire signs, but for you in particular, there's a very strong element here of the power player coming to you and seeking your expertise and backing that up with money as well. So if there's any sort of opportunity that comes up, even if it seems like unrelated to what you've been doing for a while now, do take a moment to consider the implications, because it actually might be a chance to empower yourself in a way that you haven't felt in a little while, a chance to start moving your work in a direction that feels really right to you, that feels like you're bringing forward things within yourself that you do feel really proud of and that you know that you can do very well, and allowing those things to lead to greater prosperity. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have Venus moving through your sign, speaking in supreme harmony with Pluto. This to me speaks to empowerment on so many levels. This is being empowered and making changes where it comes to love, moving yourself towards greater love. There's an element here of connecting to what you are truly passionate about and taking a risk on behalf of it, figuring out a way to make that profitable. And there's also an element here of getting really good news or wonderful support in the realm of children. So whether they're your own, whether they're children that you value, this is a time when you feel what a transformative effect being around kids can be. Those of you who are open to and are desiring to actually have a child, this can be a time when you are very, very fertile. So keep that in mind. I mean, this is a time when, if there have been any barriers, any concerns, any questions, and you have wanted to have a child, this really could be the week when you hear it, what it is that you need, you get the advice that you need, or you just get really lucky so that you can actually experience the dream that you may have to have a child. Now, having said that, as I said, there's an element here that has to do with a very strong sense of fertility. So like I like to say, if that's not something that you're thinking about or wanting at this place in your life, there are so many things you can do to help yourself there. So it needn't manifest in that way with a pregnancy per se. It can manifest, this very energy can manifest in terms of you really giving an understanding, planting the seed to a project that you believe is something that you are meant to create, give your creative energy to, and give to the world. So as I said, there's an element here that has to do with love. So this could be a time, if you're open to meeting somebody new, you could make a really powerful connection. For some of you, this is going to be a powerful resolution where it comes to love, reconnecting to somebody in the context of love. But for others of you, this may actually be a new person. So be open to that possibility. There is also an element here, if you're already connecting to somebody, or already connected to somebody rather, if you're already in an established relationship, this is a time that takes on a greater depth of connection. But beyond just that, as it is for all earth signs happening this week, beyond just about connection, for you in particular, there's an element here of deepening an understanding of what it is that brought you together, the joy, the commonality, the time that you spend together that brings so much sweetness into your life. So all of that seems to be coming together for you really powerfully right now. And as I said, there's an element here of you connecting to a passion And if your instincts lead you to say, take a risk in a certain moment because you know it's going to bring you greater joy or greater financial benefit, then it very well may be worth listening to. Hello, fabulous Libra. Well, Mercury moving through your sign now enters shadow. So I spoke about this in the monthly horoscopes for September. Will be in the month of October as well, speaking about this in the monthly horoscopes. Really powerful moment for you, really powerful time for you, a time that I believe is going to help you clarify what it is that matters to you most on a level of heart, on a level of mind. This is the time that you want to pay attention, really, and especially as the week starts, because the themes that come up as the week starts are going to be revisited in late October, and I'll be here to remind you about that at that time. Those of you born smack dab in the middle of your sign are going to experience this most as part of the larger learning, but every Libra out there should have the opportunity to experience an understanding of clarity. So right now the lessons rather are going to be presenting themselves slowly but surely. You really want to be one of the signs who is documenting what is coming up, no matter how much, whether it's a desire, whether it's a thought, whether it's an understanding of what it is that you want to do, what's most important to you. This is the time to document that. This is the time to start looking at what would that actually look like? Where would that actually take you? So I really like this energy because it speaks very strongly to me of a deepening understanding ultimately of who you are and what matters to you most, and allowing your identity to shift in the process. That is, yes, part of a lifetime process for all of us, but you hit an accelerated place, or rather you start an accelerated period of time in this process right now. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. Well, this week does promise connections with friends that end up being really important to you, whether it's on a level of deepening those friendships or on a level of just having really great ideas of what you could do together that would make all of you or both of you feel stronger financially or otherwise. And this is also a time when, for some of you at least, there could be a connection with a friend that turns romantic as well. So ultimately what it comes down to is be social, especially as the week starts. If you want to capitalize on this energy, and it really is a great energy, an energy that has to do with understanding yourself so much more deeply, understanding what you need to feel truly prosperous. What does wealth mean to you? How are you actually going to build towards that? What do you need to put into place? All of these issues are highlighted. Now, for some of you, this idea of wealth is going to be very practical. So there's going to be some of you out there where the wealth actually has to do with thinking about some business ideas that you could consider with a friend. For others of you, it's going to be much more personal, much more emotional, where you're understanding the depth of what you feel and understanding that as a wellspring of wealth, something that deserves to be cherished and nourished and strengthened as well. And as I said, as connections with friendships are growing stronger, really meaningful communications are happening as well. And so if there's anything, whether it's wanting to put the past behind you and transform a dynamic that's less than ideal, great week to do that. If this is a time rather when you want to actually just talk about something that is unrelated to the friendship, but just to get that other perspective, this could be a great time to do that as well. And of course, as I said, there's a romantic element to this as well. And so it is possible that you connect with somebody on a level of friendship and maybe even have that connection with that person already, and it ends up turning romantic right about now. And it does look like a really pleasant experience all around. It does look like there's an easy flow, an easy understanding of what it is that is happening and what it is that needs to happen in order to propel the dynamic forward in a direction that you like very much. Whether that direction is romantic or financial or personal, you are being made better because of the people you know. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week there is a strong connection taking place to what is happening for you on a level of your career, on a level of achievement, on a level of understanding purpose and where it is ultimately that you most desire to go now, but especially over the course of this lifetime, and how that can contribute to your prosperity, how you can actually turn that into financial progress for yourself. Now, some of you out there are going to experience this just in a very immediate, very literal kind of way, which is great as well if that's where you are. And so this could be a time when a promotion might come through. This is a time when you may have an interaction like the other fire signs this week, positive interactions with supervisors, positive interactions with bosses and people in a position of authority, people in a position to help you go where it is that you most desire to go in the work sphere. And there seems to be a very strong connection to money associated with this as well. And so do be mindful of that. The opportunity may present itself, but it does look like it's an opportunity ultimately to do more, to demonstrate more, to step up your game, really is what is being presented. And as I said, there is a connection to finances. And so it does look like understanding the prosperity part of it and how that's going to help you is a part of the conversation. So some of you may just experience more work, which leads to more pay. Some of you might get a promotion. Some of you might just hear good financial news where it comes to you achieving something and actually creating greater prosperity for yourself through that. Now, others of you, those of you who are not necessarily thinking in as an immediate kind of way, are likely to experience this a little bit more personally where it comes to understanding the goals that are worth pursuing and where it is that your own feelings of self-worth have either contributed positively or not to you achieving the things that matter to you most, to you living in truth to a sense of what you believe your life purpose is or not. And this gets a huge healing boost for you this week. You know, I often say in the horoscopes that I do, whether it's weekly or the monthly, that what I see, the parts of the sky that are lit up right now, what I see this as, and especially when you look at money from a more like sort of spiritual, esoteric kind of understanding, ultimately, it's not about the number. The number really is arbitrary. The universe responds to what you believe is the value of what you're giving. And so this is just one spiritual understanding of money, or rather esoteric understanding of money. There are many theories out there of what money represents. And for some people, they may not necessarily resonate with this explanation. However, there's one understanding that the money that you experience in your life, the prosperity you receive in your life, is a direct reflection of the value you believe is associated to what you are giving to the universe. So if you place high value on what you give, the universe responds in kind by returning high value to you as well, returning larger numbers to you as well. It's not necessarily about the work. It's not necessarily about what you are actually doing, but rather the energy behind what you are actually doing. So having said that, this week, some of you out there are going to get some huge understandings and some huge healings in alignment with this spiritual lesson, which has to do with placing greater value on what it is that you give, understanding what only you uniquely can do and what is actually worth working towards, and also what is not. And with that clarity, allowing yourself to go forward, knowing that you're going forward towards greater prosperity, not just financial prosperity, but emotional prosperity as well. That's part of the deeper lesson here. Connect to the emotional prosperity and align your life purpose with what it is that makes you feel emotionally prosperous. If you allow that piece to come together, you really may feel like a switch occurs, the penny drops, that thing that you've been waiting to understand finally clicks, and you open the pathway towards experiencing greater prosperity emotionally and financially than you've known before. Hello, fabulous Capricorn. Well, it is this week that we have Pluto moving through your sign, speaking in supreme harmony with Venus. I look at this conversation and it suggests to me love is really what it comes down to. A sense of love with who you are, with your life, with where it is you believe that you're going, with the vision that's opening up to you, and love for the process of change. Love for the process of putting things into place that are going to lead you to reap the type of rewards that matter to you most. Now, For some of you, it is going to be in the context of love, in relationships, where you feel like you're putting together the pieces and putting into place the things that are going to allow you to experience a greater love than you've known before. But for some of you out there, there's an element here that has more to do with the professional side, more to do with what it is that you're doing in terms of your personal goals for your life. Ultimately, this is energy about nurturing a vision, believing in yourself, and at the same time allowing personal change to take place that is going to allow you to set things up so that you can achieve those things that matter to you most. But there's a very personal element to this. And what I really love about this is if you are going for something that matters to you now, especially early in the week, it just looks like you are bringing your absolute A game. It looks like you're bringing the best of you forward. You like it very much. You're bringing forward charm, but also a sense of authority. And all of this comes together very nicely to help you see things within you that you can genuinely admire, but also help you move towards the goals that matter to you most. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week, some of you are going to experience, in the context of financial gains, and in some cases some significant financial gains, and others of you are going to experience this in the context of emotional gains and also significant emotional gains as well. So those of you who are going to experience this financially, it looks like a lot is happening sort of under the surface. There's an element here that has to do with you trusting that the deals that you're trying to make right now, the changes that you're trying to make right now, are going to move you towards greater prosperity. It's not necessarily a time to launch your plans. It's not necessarily a time to even speak broadly about your plans, but it is a really great time to just quietly work in your own sphere and start doing the things you know are going to help you build a sense of wealth and build a sense of prosperity. This can be a time like the other air signs out there. This can be a time when you receive some really good news where it comes to any kind of financial matter that you've been waiting to resolve, where it has to do with grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, health benefits, or other benefits that you may qualify for, tax returns as well. Wherever it is that you've been waiting to hear a financial decision, this could be a time when some really good things are taking place on your behalf to help you move in a positive direction. Some of you might even hear some good news. Some of you might actually be doing the things you know that you need to do to help you move in a very positive direction. There's an element here that is playing out for a lot of you that has to do with trusting, on the one hand, that you've put certain things in place, but also needing to show what it is that you have been doing and why it is that you are making the request. And so if that situation should arise, that is actually a very good sign, because it means that things are making progress, things are moving along. And this week seems to be a really strong week to help you in the broader picture of creating greater finances for yourself. For those of you who try to do things and put things in place that are about creating passive income for yourself, this is a time when you get some powerful insights that you know can contribute to your greater financial success in the bigger picture. And so this is the time to slowly start getting some wheels turning, slowly start doing what you need to do to set that up and to start putting things into place that are going to be part, again, of a larger picture. As I said, some of you are going to experience this more emotionally, and this has to do with intimacy. This has to do with secrets as well. And for some of you, this is secrets that you keep consciously, but it isn't a bad thing. It doesn't look like it's a bad thing at all. It looks more like there are times when, and you know, I know I've shared this before over the course of the last few years that I've been doing horoscopes, quite a few years now. So thank you for that. Thank you for watching. But what I do see playing out with this is there are types of secrets that we don't know we keep. There are types of secrets that we know we're keeping and we know it's not very good. And then there are those types of secrets that we're keeping because we know that there's something here that deserves to be held close. There's something here that deserves to be cherished, to be thought of as special, to be free from the interference of other people. And that's actually the type of scenario I'm seeing playing out for some of you, where this energy is going to manifest in a more emotional realm. You're making some choices, you're taking some actions, but all of it is rooted in an understanding that this is what needs to happen now, and that it's not a time necessarily to share very broadly, but this needs to happen now if you are going to give, whether it's a romantic situation, which I think is a strong likelihood for some of you out there, whether it's a romantic situation or a more personal, emotional situation. If it's really going to have a chance to be strong, if it's really going to have a chance to create the kind of positive change, to be something that lasts for a very long time, this moment asks that you keep things close to the chest. This moment asks that you keep things a little bit quiet. And that in turn is only going to help you create something really strong that's only going to build in strength further and further down the road. So do treat your romantic alliances especially, but also your emotional well-being with a sense of sacredness and a sense of responsibility as well, free from the influence and understanding of other people. If you can do that, then you actually give yourself a chance to plant something or to strengthen something, to make those roots even deep into something that you know matters to you very much, and you know matters to you in the depths of your heart very much as well. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This is such a great week where it comes to partnership, whether that's romantic or business. Those of you involved in business partnerships or business alliances are going to be finding this a time when you really see the value that this other person brings into your life. So you can see the value of this other person in regards to the actual wealth that they're helping you to create in your business, in your life, and helping to transform where you are right now in a direction of greater strength as well. And so it looks like there's an easy understanding taking place. A transformation of roles may happen at this time as well, but all of it looks to be really positive and really empowering all around. Those of you that are going to be experiencing this energy in a more romantic context, which I do think is going to be the case for a lot of you out there, in an established bond, this energy certainly can help to deepen that bond, to make it that much more meaningful and that much more clear, really, how meaningful the two of you are to each other. So it looks to be at least one very important moment that really will stand out in the trajectory of the relationship for a long time to come, that seems very positive and seems to bring you two closer. Those of you who are open to love, this really can be a time when you do meet somebody that feels like a very strong connection. You do meet somebody where you feel a very powerful sense of a kindredness, if you will. And it's almost as if, you know, when you meet somebody and you almost have that instant reaction, you feel the butterflies. That is possible, especially early in the week. And so be out, be about, especially where it comes to social functions with friends. So if you're with friends as you're out and about, or you are actually at an event hosted by a friend, that can all be a really good time to connect with somebody on a one-on-one level. And this isn't just about connecting with somebody who would be easy breezy and just about, you know, feeling the flip in your stomach, but rather really meeting somebody who can and has the potential to be a long-term partner, who can actually be with you now and for the foreseeable future as well. Well, thank you so much for all signs out there for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.